Cheers, everyone. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Quentin. Should I get my full name or a film? Hi.
Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself.
Veldig morsomt, da!
Hey, my name is Audun and I'm a programmer on Dreamfall Chapters and all-around IKEA furniture builder.
My name is Rakel.
And what do you do here?
I think I'm the general manager of this company.
Hi, I'm Quentin. I'm a designer, a programmer, cinematics guy,
Hi, I'm Martin. I'm the design director.
and general thingy on Dreamfall Chapters.
Cheers, community. I'm Dag Scheller. I'm a writer. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Martin. I'm the design director. I design and direct. tar den på ditt.
Thanks for watching.
Haven't cheated once, stayed home nights, didn't dance, wasn't taking any chance, didn't flirt, and though it hurt,
Okay,
I just
welcome
wouldn't
to
do
the
it.
Dreamfall Chapters video Q&A. We have most of the Red Thread Games team gathered here.
Yeah!
Everybody's been introduced via an awkward introductory sequence. I'm sure you all enjoyed. You're welcome. So let's get cracking with some of the questions you guys have asked us on Facebook, Twitter, and the forums. So first from Marcus via Facebook, will there be any combat stealth in the game?
We can safely say that no, there will not be any combat or stealth. We said that before, that we would stay away from that, but rather handle those situations in a different way. But yeah, we feel that we can make a really good game without button mashing type of combat and the stealth mechanics.
We'll still have dramatic situations.
Very dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah, but the short answer is no, absolutely not, no combat or stealth. Leonardo via Facebook, fantastic name. Leo says, what is the biggest challenge of making an adventure game?
No challenges. For me, I've never worked on an adventure game before. What I find challenging, but also a lot of fun to work with, is trying to build that tension and creating that world without having to play on game mechanics, like direct game mechanics, like formulas and combat mechanics and dodging and stealthing and all that. It goes a little bit back to the previous question, but creating that immersion only based on sort of feelings and experiences in the game world. I think it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun. It's a new experience for me, and I'm enjoying it immensely. How about you guys?
I think like the biggest challenge is to avoid it feeling like a puzzle game, a game where we sort of gated to various puzzles, something we don't want to do. Make every challenge, every sort of gameplay challenge in the game to make it feel like an organic part of the story.
Integrated into the story.
Yeah, you don't want to meet like a puzzle wall or something like that. And secondly, to make the decisions the players make in the game, to make them count.
Make them meaningful.
Make them interesting, meaningful, to have consequences that really matter, without sacrificing the linearity of the story, because obviously we have a story planned out that we know where it ends, but players are able to affect the what happens in between. That's challenging.
And we've already had some good discussions on that, on the meaningful decisions, making them more meaningful. If they don't feel right, then we throw them out and try to come up with some better ones that are more meaningful and better.
Jimmy asks via Twitter, will the choices in DFC work like they did in The Walking Dead, for example? Quentin?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we want to make sure that when there is a choice in the game, that it is impactful. What you do in the game, it makes an impact on a character or a story later on, even if it's some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller. And we want to let you be able to visually see what the impact of your choices are as well.
It's always good to see that the choices that you are doing have an effect on the game world. And it doesn't have to be like we are displaying it on a huge billboard. Look what you did, but maybe even subtle hints like, okay, you freed some guy, and then you see him walking around later, or just sort of subtly display that, but showing that your choices have a meaning and has an effect on the world is a good thing, and that's really trying to achieve that. So.
Yeah. And I think also just visualizing that, and not in a big broadcasting type sense, but just giving you that connection, because we brought it up a few times that in the original Dreamfall, these things were there, but a lot of people didn't even realize that they were there, because there was quite a bit of work that went into it, but people just thought, hey, well, this was supposed to have happened anyway. So I think just getting the cause and effect, getting that effect part to be more impactful and to connect with your choice.
And one of the previous questions as well, to make them meaningful without being too expansive, that we're creating many very separate paths kind of thing.
I think one of the most important things, and The Walking Dead did it fantastically well. I mean, we're obviously following in the footsteps of Telltale here, but one thing that's important for us too is the ability to share those choices with other players and with the world, and to see what the world has chosen and what your friends have chosen, or not, if that's what you want. But to me, being able to see what horrible choices Martin made, as opposed to my perfectly chosen options. I mean, to have a discussion about that, Martin, mercy kill this guy. I didn't. Why did you do that, Martin? Why? Do you enjoy killing?
I do. Don't judge me.
Well, I'll judge you. I'll judge you right now. So, will chapters have actual gameplay? Asks Puyu on Twitter. Dreamfall was more like a visual novel and only had one actual puzzle.
Well, I don't think that's right, but we are attempting to get more puzzle gameplay and less trivial puzzle gameplay, I would say.
I think we're trying to sort of
without ruining the pacing of the storytelling, which is quite a delicate balance to walk, but it's still something we're aiming for. Yes.
We try to sort of avoid looking at as puzzles. To me, puzzle is like something you're confronted with that you have to solve in order to move forward. It's sort of like a locked door with a number of puzzles.
It feels arbitrary.
It feels a bit, can feel a bit arbitrary. We're trying to create a gameplay that requires you to think and use your inventory, use people, use what you've learned, to use your senses, explore,
and without it being intrusive and
feel artificial.
Feel artificial.
Yeah. But I mean, the idea of a visual novel, Dreamfall was more like a visual novel. But
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think that you need to. I mean, why do games have to be one thing? Like, why is there only one definition of what a game is? I think we had that discussion when Dreamfall came out. Some people said it was not a game because this. But is that true? Is there a single definition that says, this is what the game must be? We went out to tell a good story, and part of that was to make it easy for people to get through the story.
Yes, because the pacing, again, like you don't want to create walls where you sort of completely forget where you are in the story either. You want to keep the story moving forward, and if you create arbitrary gates that stop you from enjoying that and continuing the pace of the story, then that's detrimental as well, I think.
Well, I think with Dreamfall Chapters, we're making a slightly different kind of game, though. We're focusing a lot more on spaces and game spaces where you have freedom to do things in a different order and to explore and to not get stuck on one thing.
Yeah, and I think that can become a lot of fun. Dropping the player in a situation or in one of these spaces, and the player should know what to do, but he or she is free to do it in whatever order and at his or her own pace. And I enjoy that gameplay a lot. You're in a situation, you need to solve something. Now be creative and move forward. It's not like an actual puzzle where you need to sort of find all the pieces, but it's more like, okay, how would I as a person solve this problem if I was in this world?
Yeah. And then not having to do everything necessarily in one order. So if you get stuck on one thing, you can go and
maybe you do need
figure out a
to
different thing.
Yeah, maybe you do need to do something else over here before you can actually do this one. You know, that's a little bit more freedom, a little bit more sense of not being pulled down one corridor or one story branch. Bongboy asks, will you develop The Longest Journey Home after chapters if the pledges through PayPal bring the total to $2 million?
We will greenlight it.
We will begin pre-production as promised.
Yes.
Yes. Jacob, or Jakob maybe, asks, will the inventory system be more like TLJ or Dreamfall?
Yeah, I think the... Now you're both looking at me.
Again? What? Deja vu?
What? Yeah, no, I think the inventory system will, once again, tying into the same thing as what we said about the puzzles, we don't want it to just be one quick linear flow without any gameplay, but so we do want to aim for a classic inventory like in an adventure game, but at the same time we don't want to just have a bag full of stuff that you empty and it's like 24 miscellaneous junk objects. And then the player has to go and click and try every object with every other object in the game, and that just leads people bumping into a wall of frustration. So where it makes sense to the puzzles, to the gameplay, and to the story, with the flow and everything, we want to, we will have inventory items where it makes sense, but other than that,
the inventory will be more similar to Dreamfall, than The Longest Journey. And as you said, we don't want that whole, you create this matrix in your head and you need to try every item on that lock or on that object. Make it more intuitive, what you can use with what in the game world. And I feel like that the inventory that we have lets you be a bit more hands-on with the items. But you can sort of feel that you can pick them up and have a look at them.
Because all our inventory items are in full 3D, and you can rotate them around and find little messages. We'll actually put gameplay into the inventory items themselves. So that's going to be pretty.
While still keeping the whole thing very minimal and non-intrusive when you're playing.
So the real answer is it won't be like The Longest Journey. It won't be like Dreamfall. It'll be something brand new and really cool. Yeah. Moss asks, if you take all the Martin's hats and hand them to us, how many pieces of fabric will we get per person? Adam, what do you think?
I've not been keeping count, so for all I know, you could be wearing one hat every day.
I have one new hat every day. I throw this away at night.
Have you washed this?
Yes.
Why do you need to wash it if you change?
Somebody's spilled beer on it
Today?
Orion asks with the hashtag romance, but will there be any romance in the game, and will it be less awkward / superficial than in Dreamfall?
Yes and yes.
There will be romance, and it will be less awkward, superficial.
Yes and yes.
There's definitely romance in this game of all kinds, and cromance. Let's see. Stu asks via Twitter, what has been your favorite part of the story so far? I guess in the game. What is your favorite part of the story, Rakel? Maybe you don't know enough about the story we're making yet.
No.
Okay.
What of the story of this game or the
story of this
saga
game
so far?
No,
or
this game.
Well,
I assume.
Yeah, personally I love the beginning and the end the most.
I love the middle.
The middle is the best.
I think it's just a trick question to get us to talk about stuff that we're not supposed to talk about.
So it's all awesome, isn't it?
What we can say is that
I think it's going to be the best story of the saga so
As
far.
you said that the other day actually.
What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that the wrapping of the game, I think will surprise a lot of people, and I think it's very clever, and I really enjoy thinking about like how that will be. We haven't made it yet, but sort of thinking.
We've
about
written the whole story.
Yeah, written, but not actually made any
the
of the
whole
modes and the gameplay yet. But But thinking about the wrapping of the game will be something very unique, and I think that will make a lot of people happy.
Well, you make a lot of people happy. Your hats make a lot of people happy.
I love your work, man.
I love yours too. Let's see. Andy asks via Twitter, how will collecting great library books work? Will books just be lying around, or will you solve puzzles to get them? Anyone?
I think a lot of books will be found in places where you would expect to find books, I suppose.
Like shelves?
Like shelves. But
In my experience, books can be found really anywhere.
but we will also
Make some of them hard to get?
Make some of them harder to get, yes. Like not just walking up to the bookshelf and picking up all the books that you can find.
We'll make some hard to find, I guess.
We will.
Yeah. Orion asks on Twitter, Zoe's story felt somewhat detached from the big picture formed in The Longest Journey. Will Dreamfall Chapters tie everything together, or will The Longest Journey home? I think Dreamfall Chapters is going to tie up the story in Dreamfall. That's the point of it, the second part of that story, but to get all the connections of everything that's happened, that's The Longest Journey.
And we have to think of it like this as well. It's a universe. There's a lot of stuff happening that that doesn't necessarily concern Zoe, and that doesn't necessarily concern April either. So there's yes, we will finish the Zoe story.
What?
No, you have that little smirk. I like it. And but tie up everything. We can't tie up an entire universe in one single game.
But the
we'll tie
plan
up Zoe story.
of The Longest Journey home is definitely to tie up everything that's related to April.
Exactly. That's what I'm
And
saying.
this game is all about Zoe
Yes.
and Keon and somebody else.
And then if we wanted to make another game after Longest Journey Home, then it would tie up something else.
Or start something new.
Yeah, or start something.
Wow, we're just unable to answer questions clearly and concisely. We'll take a short break, but we'll be right back.
Can we put some commercials in there?
Nobody makes a lather like Foamy. So moist, so rich, so creamy.
How has The Longest Journey's vision changed / stayed the same over the years?
These things are obviously in constant flux. We keep working on it. We see new stuff that we think might be cool. We read something cool. We
Change as humans.
We change as humans.
But one thing that has stayed though is sort of the vision of what happens to April Ryan, like that's been
and we've known exactly where Zoe was gonna end up as well for the last 6 years, but
but the bits in between are they waver all the time. There's a lot of wavering going
so we're
on.
not that unwavering.
No. It's instead of 100% unwavering, I would say it's like 7%.
7% unwavering.
Yeah. The freedom of exploration asks Gustav, do you have for chapters sounds nice, but how do you plan pace and dramatic tension of the narrative? Excellent question.
That is an excellent question, and one that's very hard to answer. But I think the most important thing is obviously to contain those dramatic moments and make sure that you know exactly when they happen and exactly what preceded them, so that you sort of do the exploration bits and then you narrow it in towards the dramatic moments.
You funnel people through
through the dramatic moments in the story.
Yeah. You do have pockets of freedom that sort of are interspersed with very sort of set narrative, very linear narrative bits.
Yeah.
But yeah, pacing is of course always a challenge, and it's up to the players to, if they want to unpace it and wander around for a long time, they can.
And that's what we're doing with this game. We're giving a bit more freedom in controlling the pace themselves for the players. Like Dreamfall is very much like pushing you forward. TLJ was maybe a little bit more freedomy. At least it felt longer and more.
It was bigger.
Yeah, it was bigger. But in this one, we're trying to give you control of that pace yourself a little bit.
Will we see the White Dragon reborn in her true form in Dreamfall Chapters? Asks Jimmy.
Go.
Jimmy asks also, will we ever see Fiona or Mickey again?
Rakel?
Why are you asking Rakel? Seriously.
Why not?
I hope so.
Not in Dreamfall Chapters,
Sometime in
but maybe in the future.
the future.
Oh. Will we see, and again Jimmy's asking a lot of questions, will we see the Mariarum or the Elation again in Dreamfall Chapters? Audun?
I'm gonna go with no.
I think that's more sort of we'll see what happens. How do you feel about getting to work on The Longest Journey again? Is it like catching up with an old friend or more alien? Asks Shane. Martin, what do you think?
It's like,
Well, I guess
it's this distant stranger that gives you a high five and now you're buddies.
For me, it's like catching up with old friends, particularly since the team is back together as well. It's like, again, like I have these sort of feelings of deja vu every time I'm stepping behind the Eigil or looking at stuff on the screen. It's like, dude, it's 2004 again, you know, like it's kind of weird.
I
Awkward
don't
pauses.
have anything to add.
No. Well, Audun, you worked on Longest Journey back in the day. How does it feel? Does it feel like an old friend or something really alien and unnatural?
Well, something I really can't remember much of.
It's too far back.
It's all a blur.
It's all
Yeah.
Well, we were all on drugs in those days. That's how games
that
were
was
made
the
in the
90s,
90s.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the crazy old days in the 90s where everybody was on drugs.
That explains the rubber ducky.
I can't remember anything of that either. Things are more serious now, says Orion. But it was the light-hearted casual talks in Longest Journey which made it great. Will they be back? I agree. It was a lot of just normal everyday talking. That was probably vanished in Dreamfall, which is much more plot-driven.
Yeah, and with the exploration as well, we're getting, or at least we're going to try and get to some of that feeling back, that you have that more freedom to go and talk to people and have those casual conversations. We're also adding the moments of the normal lives of the main characters, so that's something we're aiming to.
And more casual relationships as well.
More casual. But we're definitely trying to recapture that
magic.
That magic, yeah.
Yeah. Shane has a couple of questions via Twitter. Dreamfall was about the Gathering Storm, but what do you plan to use to introduce newbies to the Longest Journey before lightning strikes? A very nicely put question. Thanks, Shane. So, how do we introduce people to the series? Are we planning on doing that?
No.
If you haven't played the previous games, then screw you, we don't want you. No, of course we're going to introduce are there any mechanics we can talk about here? Or?
Yeah, we talked about
There's the graphic.
the graphic novel.
Interactive.
The interactive novel,
novel, which will explain the universe, some of the characters, what's happened, and sort of frame the picture of the saga.
Yeah.
We
How
also-
about in the game?
In the game, we've tried to establish the characters as if the players don't know much, taking that approach by default.
Yeah.
Rooting them in the world, giving them a place so that they are enjoyable and understandable.
But we are also adding like a quite interesting recap option.
Yeah, a few, so that, you know, all players, not just, you know, actually all players, but the players of the previous games don't have to get bogged down with a lot of details, but if they want like a refresh, they can get it.
Yeah.
But I think also our philosophy is I like stories that drop the viewer, player, listener, reader into a scenario, and with people having established relationships and established stories, and then gradually revealing them.
It's like the story as a puzzle kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think the
Always
TV
talk
show
about,
Lost
yeah.
did that really well, where you sort of like everybody just seemed like somebody you're supposed to know, and then slowly, surely you get to know their past, and that's what we're going to do with characters in chapters. But yeah, we will recap the story for new players.
Also, people can check out our playthrough of Dreamfall.
On
Yeah,
Twitch TV.
on Twitch
Yeah.
TV.
And
It's
it only
on,
it runs only like
it's
10
10.5
or
hours.
something.
10.5 hours.
Check it
yeah.
out.
Yeah, check
Yeah,
it out.
10.5 hours.
I think about like 7 hours in, we can see that everybody just loses it and you're completely exhausted, and it's interesting.
Well, I think some of the best moments are probably near the end.
That's just the case with everything.
This
Really.
is the case with everything.
Shane again asks, how Zoe attitude changed from her jobless underwear days to her realizing her fate? Will that be the crux of Dreamfall Chapters?
Well,
Can you
jobless
repeat
and
the-
underwear
repeat
aren't
the
mutually
question,
exclusive though. So it's,
No, but her jobless underwear days. It's a very defined period in Zoe's life where she basically just walked around in underwear all day and didn't work. Yes, I think that is definitely the crux of Dreamfall Chapters. That's where we start. I mean, most of the game takes place 1 year, more than a year after the end of Dreamfall, and the
Just
characters
over
have
a year, I
changed.
think,
Yeah, and we will definitely bridge the jobless underwear Zoe to the new and improved Zoe.
also
And-
in underwear, of course.
There will be underwear. We're not going to make a game without underwear.
that-
It's
but-
our
but-
stamp.
But that has nothing to do with whether you have a job or not.
Yes, exactly. Like I said.
Wow, come on. When you were jobless like 6 months ago,
Pajamas.
I came to your apartment a lot of times and you were basically in your
No,
underwear
pajamas and underwear, that's not the same
at
thing.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
When you get up at 2, then you know it's morning. You're allowed to wear pajamas.
Back to Orion on Twitter. How much of the game, percentage-wise, takes place in Stark and how much in Arcadia?
It's a little bit early to say definite, but we're aiming for something.
67% and 33% without actually saying what.
That has to be wrong.
I love the way you can see your mind working there. Like that can't be wrong. We don't
Have you done the maths on that?
We don't know yet, but there will be a pretty good split with Zoe starting out in Stark and Kian obviously in Arcadia, and the third character starting out
Where the
somewhere.
third character starts.
Yeah.
Can we take a quick break just to check if the camera is still rolling?
You have to pee, don't you?
No, I'm good.
It's okay, you can go.
I just don't want to pee the camera.
Dreamfall's world felt small. This is a follow-up to the previous question before the pee break from Orion. Are we going big now?
We are going big, much bigger. No, we kind of addressed it before. Dreamfall was more fun through a tunnel, very sort of point-driven forward in the story. But now we are opening up more, creating bigger scenes, bigger worlds, bigger areas for the players to roam around in. So the simple answer is yes, it will be a lot bigger. And it will. Thank you.
Next. Well, on that note, actually, from Shane again. Hello, Shane.
Hello, Shane.
Longest Journey had a lot of different environments, and Dreamfall had a smaller amount, but in 3D. That's true. On that spectrum, how many in Dreamfall Chapters? I guess the question is, like, compared to those two games, how many locations are we gonna have?
I don't remember the number. We will have 3 very large ones. But then we'll have tons of other smaller
And
zones
Dreamfall had
areas
quite
that
a
you
lot
zone into.
of small locations as well. It was just you spent very little time in some of them, so sort of just passed through.
I think maybe, like, yes, we had a lot of locations, but a lot of them were in the same places.
Yeah.
While Longest Journey had a lot more locations spread out across
Yeah.
2 worlds. So we're gonna try to split the difference, I think. We're gonna have some pretty major locations that are fully roamable and that are sort of confined to one geographical area, and then we're gonna throw in a whole bunch of smaller locations that take you all across the worlds.
Because I think that's also one of the most important things in the Longest Journey. Just that magic of just that world, especially in Arcadia, of like all these wondrous, fantastical places that you can visit, and you know we really want to recapture a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's something we
back in.
talked about very early on in the pre-production for this game. Like we lacked some of the magic of the Longest Journey in Dreamfall, and we want to bring that back, especially the variety in magical locations
And peoples.
And sort of, I guess, just to put things in perspective, when we say 3 large ones and then a lot of smaller ones, like Friar's Keep, for instance, is one of the smaller ones, just to put in things in perspective, which some of you might remember is quite the location. So
Yeah,
we're not
it's-
talking about like single rooms here.
No. Well, there will be those as well, but
Those as
most,
well, but
yeah,
like-
but yeah, even with small, we actually mean it can still be a huge prison
not-
tower.
Exactly.
Corin asks on Twitter. Corin, that's an old familiar name.
Remember
Hello,
him.
Corin. Here I am with my usual bi-monthly inquiry. I can't actually remember seeing this before, but any firm aye, nay on Gamescom yet? And yeah, I think we said that we are definitely going to Gamescom.
Yay.
Yay.
I
See you there. He doesn't ask yay or nay, no. Which would be, that's what you would expect.
Yeah, but it's
he throws us like a curveball here and says aye, nay, so it's aye.
It's aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Well, we can't answer any questions in a short way, can we?
What would be the point of that?
Next one. Only one
Sida or Seda asks via Twitter, is there any Shakespearean death waiting for us?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, there's some pretty fucked up Shakespearean deaths waiting for you. I pity you. I'm
waiting for you.
In the game. This is not like one of those tapes you watch where once you watch it, you're gonna die within a week unless you show it to somebody else. Although maybe it is. So you have actually to be totally safe. And I'll show this to somebody else before 7 days have passed, or you never know what's gonna happen.
Next.
If somebody else there dies now, I'm gonna feel really bad.
Yeah, me too, but I'm gonna blame you.
Moise Siddiqui asks, will chapters delve into social commentary like The Longest Journey with sexuality, and Dreamfall with war and religion released around the Iraqi war? Social commentary? Aye, nay?
Aye.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think yes.
Yes.
I mean, definitely. We'll continue the theme of the Azadi in Marcuria, but obviously that's going to change quite a bit.
And we'll throw in some new stuff as well, of course.
Some curveballs. Yeah. Tina asks, hello Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Any new info regarding t-shirts? Is the 12 weeks estimate still accurate? Raquel?
Maybe.
We are working on it. We're in the middle of still implementing our pledge management system.
Yeah.
So that should be ready to go very, very soon. We've said so for a while, but we just want to make sure we get it right. And once that's in place, then we can give an update on the status. But hopefully we can get the tees out. We want some t-shirts as well.
We do.
Yeah, someone's new.
You need some.
Yeah, you need some.
Just because I was a little bit unlucky with my kebab earlier.
Nicholas asks, will the humor of The Longest Journey be back, or will it keep the tone of Dreamfall? I guess he's saying that Dreamfall was not very funny. Martin, you've been behind some humorous stuff in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one writing the dialogue right now, so I think it's great. Rest assured, it's only placeholder dialogue, and these guys will get their hands on it. Yeah, I think we talked about this, and we want to make it a humorous game.
I think
like,
that's really important.
Not like a silly humorous, but like
it's gonna be humor, but it's in a lot of ways the Dreamfall cycle, the Dreamer cycle is kind of like it's not a tragedy, but it's a bit dark story.
It's a bit darker.
So that's why we need the humor. So we have some humorous characters. We have Robert Clax in his fingerings.
we have over the top characters, and we're gonna
I giggle every time.
It says a lot about you.
The best named person, Hannibal Fletcher. That's a great name. If that's your real name, kudos. Asks, is there anything confirmed for the chapter soundtrack, and are you accepting suggestions or recommendations for it? We would always, of course, welcome people contacting us, but I think we know what we're doing with the soundtrack, and hopefully we can talk about that soon.
Well,
yes. Yeah, we'll have more info on that later. Working on
it. And finally, for this first segment of the video Q&A, Francisco asks, the books you guys are doing, graphic novel Tone and Balance, will there be in English or also in other languages? I guess they'll just be in English to begin with.
Actually, I hadn't thought about that.
We can't really promise anything,
No.
but we will, if not at launch, then afterwards we'll try to look into ways of getting them translated.
Yeah, we should talk about that actually, because I didn't actually.
Good question.
Good question.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for now. Next time we do a video Q&A, hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll do answer the rest of your questions from the forums. We got so many questions that we couldn't squeeze it all into one session, but yeah, we will continue, and maybe we'll have another call for more questions in the future. So thanks for watching,
And
stay classy.
have a nice day.
Oh yeah, have a nice day.
Have a nice day.